Hello, it's showtime. Welcome to the very first edition of the Right Fit Marriage Show. If you're there, just let me know by saying something in the comment box. Hello. Hello, Funke, good to have you here with me. Welcome to the very first edition of the Right Fit Marriage Show. And also congratulations on being the very first person in the audience for the Right Fit Marriage Show. We'll just hang around a bit and wait for a couple more people to show up, and then we would start. Johnson Olani, welcome. Congratulations on having the honor of being the second guest on the very first edition of the Right Fit Marriage Show. I'm just going to wait for one more person to join us. Wow, Remy, welcome. Congratulations on having the honor of being the third person that is listening in to the very first edition of the Right Fit Marriage Show. Okay, so let's get started. Welcome everyone to the very first edition of the Right Fit Marriage Show. I'm Modukwe Ehirim. I'm popularly called Mommy Mo, and I'm the founder of the Right Fit Marriage Academy. I'm very delighted to have all of you here with me today on this very debut edition of the Right Fit Marriage Show. Anej, thank you. Dayo, thank you. Olabisi, welcome. Thank you all for joining the broadcast. And as you're listening to me, please share so that other people too who are in your network will be able to listen to the program. Well, those of you who are already here know me, but for the sake of those who are going to listen to the replay, let me just tell you a little bit about myself. I'm the founder of the Right Fit Marriage Academy. My name is Modukwe Ehirim. I've been married now for 32 years. Happy in an inter-ethnic marriage. I am Yoruba and my husband is Igbo, and we've been together for 32 years. I'm also a student of marriage. I've been studying marriage for many years, primarily to make my own marriage work, but as time went along, also to know what I could share with other people. I'm a certified SYMBIS facilitator. SYMBIS is Saving Your Marriage Before It Starts, a program that was created by Drs. Les and Leslie Parrott to help people to work on their marriage even before they start it at all. I'm also a certified practitioner of the family systems engineering process. So, the Right Fit Marriage Show, what is it about? It's a show that is going to be devoted only to one purpose, and that purpose is that the audience that listen to us will learn, acquire knowledge, and skills that they need to build their marriage. But they won't only learn it, it won't be head knowledge. We would also learn how to apply it. So for those of you who are already here with me, Lolade, welcome. Thank you for joining the show. When you think of marriage, what are the questions that come into your mind? What kind of thoughts come into your mind when you think about marriage? Share some of them with me in the comment box. Let me see. The thoughts that come into your mind when you think of marriage, what are they? Share some of them with me. Some of the things that people tell me about marriage is that, they're scared. Sometimes people are scared about marriage because they've seen other people's marriages fail. They've seen people, who are in the marriage but, are very unhappy. They've either seen their own parents, they've lived with their own parents and they've seen all kinds of things. The movies show us every day of wicked in-laws and so on and so forth. So generally people have a very negative view of marriage. A lot of people are actually scared of marriage. And that surprises me. Not because I don't know people who have problems in marriages generally. Of course I do. But I also know a lot of people who are happy in their own marriage. My own parents, for example, are going to be 60 years in marriage in 2018. Okay, Funke, you say, why is marriage such a big deal in Nigeria? That's a really great question. I'll come to it. Okay. Peter Joseph Oshikoya says that when he thinks of marriage, he thinks companionship, friendship, and love. I'm glad to hear that. There are people who are like that. Fundamentally, what prepares you for marriage is what you saw modeled before you, as you were growing up, the people in your community, your own parents, if you lived with them, or other adults that you lived with. So if you lived with people who had bad marriages, you tend to think that marriages are bad and you become afraid. If you lived with people who had good marriages, you also tend to think that, okay, marriages will work. But the challenge for us in the present times is that even if you lived with people who had good marriages, when you watch TV, when you listen to the movies, there is so much portrayal of the negative image about marriage. And so I thought to myself, if the people who are spreading the bad news about marriage are going all over the press, all over the social media, well, maybe somebody also ought to go and spread the good news about marriage. And that is the number one reason why the Right Fit Marriage Show is on now. One, to help people to know that marriages do work. And to also help people to learn the various things that they can do to ensure that their marriages actually work and they are happy. So who is the show for? Hey, Dio, thank you. Dio says marriage is a blissful lifetime imprisonment with a soulmate sentenced by purpose, fueled by mutual understanding to the glory of God. Peter also said he also has experience of marriage from 2 different marriages, and from what he saw in those 2 marriages, he wouldn't want such things to happen in his own marriage. Well, thank you all for sharing your thoughts with me. Now, who is this show for? The Right Fit Marriage Show is for everyone, whether you are single or married. I'm sure single people are going to be wondering, what do they need a marriage show for? I'll tell you what you need it for. Number one, the Right Fit Marriage Show is for you, the single person, because the more that you know about marriage in these contemporary times, the more that you know about the principles that make marriage succeed, the more that you intentionally learn the skills that you need to make marriage work, the more likely it is that you will choose a partner that is knowledgeable and equipped. And then the more you yourself will be ready to do the work that there is in marriage. And so if you're a single person, you really need to be watching this show as it comes up every Thursday. And tell your friends as well. It's a place where you can expect to get knowledge that will take you far. Now, the show is also for married people. if you're married, that's because marriage is not like what it used to be in the past. The environment in which we do marriage has now changed, and it has changed significantly. In the times that were past, in the times of our dads and moms, in the times of our grandparents, people lived in the same community more or less. They were born in one community, they grew in that community. So what it means is that a man and his wife, or a woman and her husband, probably grew up under the same values, had similar life experiences and exposure, and so their expectations were not too far from one another. So when they got married, they more or less knew what they were getting into. They knew what they were getting into because they literally grew up in the same environment, in the same community. They were exposed to the same things, and so their expectations were not too different. But in contemporary times, that is not so at all. I mean, if you look at me, I was born in one city. I went to secondary school in one city. I went to university in another city. I went and did a second degree in a fourth city. What it means is that even if I were marrying somebody who grew up on the same street as me, by the time we were getting married, we already had different lives. We had been exposed to different things. We now have different perspectives on issues. We have different paradigms. So you can imagine what that marriage will be like. We will look like people who are having similar expectations, but our expectations are very far. Now, in the current times, throw in the internet, throw in satellite TV, throw in, smartphones, all of which allow us even to move outside of our territory where we are living in without even leaving. Exposure to so very many things. So look at that. Those are the reasons why marriage is challenging in these days. And so it becomes very imperative that you be more intentional about learning what marriage really is. So this show, as I said, it's for all of us. This show is for all of us so that we can be intentional. We can be deliberate about learning what we really need to know, the principles that will make marriage to work. That's why the show is here. And in the coming weeks, that's what we're going to be about. So I'm going to encourage you. I'm going to encourage you very much, one, to share this show as it is going on so that other people can know about it. Then, every Thursday at 7 p.m., that's when the show will come on. So you can just put it in your calendar and be ready to watch. Yes, Lois, we need to be more intentional about learning what marriage is. And I also said we need to learn to do marriage right, and the learning should start before marriage itself. Yes, Miriam says we need to take time to learn about each other. Yes, Dayo says expectations in marriage, these need to be communicated. Oh yes, because in the contemporary world where we live in now, if you say I want to marry somebody from my tribe, that does not guarantee you that both of you are actually similar. It would depend on a lot of other things. So, intentionality about learning, acquiring knowledge for marriage, that's exactly what we all need. I'm going to just tell you a little story that I always say, and I call it my eyeglasses story. If you use a pair of glasses, you would quickly understand what it is that I mean. If you use a pair of glasses, before you start using one, you have poor eyesight, but you have no way of knowing that another person can see better than you. And you can actually go through all of life not seeing well and not knowing that other people are seeing much better than you. Until, with God's help, you come in contact with an eye doctor who examines your eyes and says to you, oh, you're not seeing as well as other people are seeing. Then you will get a pair of glasses. And when you put on the pair of glasses, it will shock you that other people have been seeing much better than you. Yes. Peter says you need to learn about communication methods. Oh, yes. Miriam, yes, you are right. The number one thing is communication. Communication and understanding really the context that you are coming from and the context that your partner also is coming from. So back to my eyeglasses story. What happens in marriage is that all of us, each one of us who is going into marriage is like the person with poor eyesight. You know things about yourself, you have ways of doing things, and always we're thinking the way that we are doing it is the only way or is the best way. Then you marry somebody else who also is thinking that his own way is the best way and his own way is the only way. That, in my opinion, is the reason for perhaps 99% of the challenges that people encounter in marriage. And so if you're going into marriage without being intentional, without choosing to deliberately learn what marriage is about, the principles that underlie the success of marriage, you are like somebody who is having poor eyesight, who is going about and not knowing that they can actually see better. And so in the coming weeks, we're going to be talking some more about things like this. And have no fear. We are not going to be afraid to deal with messy issues, cheating in marriage, pornography, difficulty in having childbirth. Those are part and parcel of marriage relationships. And so from time, we're going to be looking at all of it. And so today is just an introduction. I want to thank you, Dayo, Elijah, Chinwe, Miriam, Peter, Lois, Folashade Royalty, I see you. Ayokweju, I see you as well. Oluwaseun, Kobe, thank you. And Tosi Presfowowe, Oluwakemi, Tola, Funke, Aja, Oluwaseunwara, Anej, Lolade, Olabisi, Remy, of course, Funke, thank you, and Johnson, thank you very much for joining the show today. In the coming weeks, you can look forward to a lot of interesting discussion about marriage. But I would also like you to know the conversation does not stop with the show. There is actually a community on Facebook called the Right Fit Marriage Academy. And there, ongoing conversation every day about all these issues, is going on there. The primary focus of the Right Fit Marriage Academy is to help you to find your voice. Miriam said communication is key. Dayo said self-discovery should dictate the content to be communicated. In the Right Fit Marriage community, what we are doing is providing a safe environment where we discuss topical issues about marriage and different marriage situations, and there, your views are respected. We want you to grow in your capacity to discuss and ultimately discuss difficult things also with your spouse. So, if you look at the top of the broadcast in the post, you would see the link for the Right Fit Marriage Academy community. Join the community and discuss with us. To round up the show today, I'm going to leave you with a quote from a French actress, Simone Signoret. This is what she said about marriage. Chains do not hold a marriage together. It is threads. hundreds of tiny threads which sew people together through the years. I'll take it again. Chains do not hold a marriage together. It is threads, hundreds of tiny threads sewn together, which sew people together through the years. What this means is this: you can't use force to hold your marriage together. But if you understand what needs to be done, daily simple activities done over a long period of time is what actually brings people together. What has kept my parents together now for 59 years? What has kept me together with my husband for 32 years? What kept my parents-in-law together for 50 plus years before both of them passed away? I bet you it's not a chain. They didn't stay together by force. They weren't pressured to stay together. But it was threads, hundreds of tiny threads, which sew people together through the years that kept them through that long period. And so, with that quote, I will bring today's show to an end. Thank you all very much for listening. Alaba, wonderful. And Abosede, thank you so very much for joining us. Please remember, share this broadcast so that other people can listen to it and know about the Right Fit Marriage Show. Next week, Thursday, 7 p.m. is a date. I look forward to you joining me. And for now, it's bye. Thank you.